All right, well now I'm very pleased to start with our opening keynote session today, which is on AI and the customer experience. So artificial intelligence, or AI, is top of mind for companies and consumers everywhere, and learning how to use it to your advantage is really going to help your company to be more successful. Our keynote speaker, Stephen Belleghem, is a true AI expert. He's the co-founder of Nexxworks, which he calls an inspiration agency. He's a marketing professor at London Business School, and he's a 5-time best-selling author. He specializes in digital technology and its transformation of the customer experience, and his presentation today focuses on using AI to improve your interpersonal reactions, not just for brands, but for those of you in the B2B world as well. Please join me in welcoming Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for a warm introduction. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here at this beautiful and impressive room to talk about customers the day after tomorrow, customer experience and how it will change with the arrival and the growth of AI. I mean, I think all of us, if you've been following this news for the last year and 3 months, you feel that we're like at the end of a cycle. It's been like a time machine already in the past 15 years. I mean, ever since we got our smartphones, the world changed. I don't need to tell you that. But I'm like a collector of footage and proof of that. I don't know if you saw this. This was Paris on New Year's Eve just a few weeks ago. This is what the smartphone has done to our world. I love that, and we're all celebrating New Year together. But you see a lot of changes. I mean, this is what you see in certain Chinese markets where you have two sides of the curb, one for people with a phone, one for people who just want to walk. This is what you see in Korea, where they put traffic lights for pedestrians in the floor because no one is looking up anymore to those traffic signs. So this is much safer. But this is my favorite one. This is security footage from a bar in Brazil. Pay attention to the guy on the right-hand side. He's playing with his phone, and in the meantime, a guy with a gun walks in. He just tells everyone to be on the floor. Guy with the phone is still texting his wife that he has to work late. Meantime, the robber is taking all the money. He's pushing send to tell his wife that he's almost done with his work. He pushes send, and he's like, "What are you guys doing on the floor?" He just completely missed it. So, you know, it's getting out of hand with our phones. I mean, I don't know if you saw this. This was one of the more popular Christmas gifts in the UK this year. It's completely ridiculous. It's a selfie toaster. So you send a picture of your own face, and then you can eat a piece of bread with your face on it. It's getting out of hand. We're taking way too many risks. I'm glad that we're at the end of a phase, and I'm glad that you see some change. Like in the past, when you wanted to go viral, you needed some iconic selfie at an important moment. This is still one of my favorites, this one. But now it's changing. It's changing. If you want to go viral, you don't need a selfie anymore. What you need is this. This is a picture taken at an important moment in sports history, right? This is LeBron James scoring his 1,000th point in the NBA. But this picture actually went viral because of that man on the picture. This is Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, who's enjoying the game. But if you zoom in, you will see that he's actually the only person on that picture without holding a phone. And this is the secret of success if you want to go viral in 2024. You need to be at an iconic moment in history, and you need to be the only one on that picture not holding a phone. Like this lady, marriage of Kate and William, she went viral. Like this guy, PGA golf tournament, he's now known as the beer guy. And the brand of the beer can that he's holding, they saw that this picture went viral, and they instantly created an entire merchandise line to support this guy's new level of being famous. So things are changing. We've been through this time machine, but now we're at the end of a cycle. And now we're at the beginning of a new cycle. And this is going to be very interesting. You see the evolution from digital first to mobile first to AI first. Most of us will experience this entire transformation throughout our careers. And every single time when a new technology pops up, you have this S-curve, right? In the beginning, we overestimate things, and we start to underestimate things. And what we've also learned from the past is that the really cool and important things, they always happen in the second half of the curve. My opinion, right now in the evolution of AI, we're at the beginning of the second half of the curve. Just think back to the smartphones again. I'm sure most of us remember this moment back in 2007 when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone to us. Is there anyone who remembers the sentence that he used back then to describe what the iPhone would be? Anyone who remembers that? I couldn't hear you. Simple. Simple was one of the words, but he used like a description. It was this one. He said, the iPhone will become your life in your pocket. If you look now in 2024, this is a pretty accurate description of what a smartphone is, right? The most scary thing that can happen to us is losing our smartphone on a trip like this. It is our life in our pocket. Back then in 2007, we did not have a clue what he was talking about. We were like, Steve, relax, huh? It's a phone, it will be okay, it will be okay. Now we know. And the funny thing is, in the beginning, we used our iPhone and our smartphone for gimmicks. Is there anyone here who remembers what the most popular iPhone app was back in 2007 when it just came out? Any wild guesses? Snake. No, Snake was still Nokia. That was still Nokia. Very popular on our Nokias. No? Can you repeat that? Beer. Is that what you said? Yeah, that is exactly right. It's always a little bit embarrassing if someone remembers that. So I'm glad we can share that embarrassment. It was this one. Maybe you remember now. It was the iBeer app. So you pushed the button on top of your phone, and then a virtual beer popped up. And then thanks to the sensors of that phone, you could actually drink that virtual beer. Completely ridiculous. And the worst part is if you put the phone down, the phone burped. You know, and back then, people came to you, they said, oh, you have an iPhone. What can it do? Can you show me? Of course. Let me demonstrate you the power of the iPhone. And then we did this. So I stopped doing it after I saw the look in my mom's eye when I actually presented that to her. But this is what we did back then. Today, it is a partner in our day-to-day life. But the really cool things happened in the second half of the curve. If you look to the apps on the homepage of your phone, 80% of them did not exist before 2014. It took a while before we really understood its potential. And the same is happening with AI. The cool things happen in the second half of the curve. Today, we're at the beginning of the second half of the curve. And you see that every single day. Everywhere you look, you see these kind of commercials that are completely computer generated. None of the women in this video actually exist. If you check out the music scene, we're going to have new Beatles music, where John Lennon will actually be singing in that song. If you go to Southern California, to Santa Monica, you will see the Cocoa Bots doing food deliveries. No longer a human on a bike, but just a machine driving around with sushi and pizza. Not one or two of them, but hundreds and thousands of them. And you see how we're more and more starting to use smart machines to do jobs that people don't want to do anymore, or where we don't find people to work on that anymore. So it's super, super interesting to see how every single day you see these innovations pop up. And of course, not last year, it's already 2022. On November 30th, 2022, the world went crazy around ChatGPT, right? I assume all of you have been playing with it. Maybe some of you use it every single day. But it was the beginning of the hype, the new hype around AI. And most of the companies are now focusing on how they can increase productivity thanks to AI, which is a very interesting topic. But I'm a customer guy, so I would like to look at the impact that this AI evolution will have on customer decision-making. And my hypothesis is that we're moving towards a new trusted gatekeeper. Before we had internet trusted gatekeepers to make up our minds and to make up decisions, to decide what we would buy, we use traditional media to make up our minds, right? Today, we use internet, we use social media, we use our screens to get information, and that information is influencing us to make up our minds about certain products that we want to buy or do not want to buy. I think we're now moving towards a world where we're going to have AI systems, advanced versions of ChatGPT, maybe already ChatGPT today for certain markets, where we're going to use those agents, bots, AI assistants to help us, where we're going to talk to a machine, where we're going to type to a machine, and that machine will give us advice, and that advice will help us to make up our mind, to decide what we're going to buy or not buy, decide who we're going to vote on or not going to vote on. We're moving towards that world quite rapidly. Maybe it's going to be tomorrow, maybe it's going to be day after tomorrow, we'll see. But this has an impact, and it works around personalization. I don't know if you're familiar with Toutiao. Toutiao is part of the ByteDance group known for TikTok. But Toutiao is one of their other platforms, which is one of the more popular news platforms in the Chinese market. And it basically looks like most news apps that other markets have as well. The difference is the AI that is behind it. It's not just the articles, it's not just the bots, it's not just the influencers, it's the AI lab behind it. Basically what is happening here is that Toutiao is a news app that is using the philosophy of the TikTok algorithm on news. And I assume you know how the TikTok algorithm works. It gets to know you really fast, and then it starts to give you the kind of content that you like. On TikTok, that goes very broad. On Toutiao, it's about news. And you could say, okay, maybe that's not a good idea if we narrow down the point of view of people. From a society point of view, there's a lot of debate about that. But if you look to the results of Toutiao from a business point of view, then you see the power of extreme personalization. Toutiao is one of the most used platforms in the world, and it's also the fastest monetized digital platform in the world. The secret of its success is very simple to explain. It's full personalization. I'm from Belgium. If I open my Belgian news app and the fellow Belgians do the same thing, we're going to have the same news here. On Toutiao, we would have different news, depending on our personal interests. Now, that's for content. Now, imagine that you would have the same thing for products that you want to buy. I use an Alexa here, but just imagine any AI platform, and you say, all right, dear AI platform, I have a cat, she's 5 years old, this is the kind of food she likes, this is what she dislikes, what would you recommend me to buy? And in a world of AI assistants, you will get one recommendation, maybe two, maybe three. No longer the 500 types of cat food that you get in the supermarket, no longer the 500 types of cat food that you get in an Amazon search, but just a small recommendation. So basically what we're moving into is a filter for product buying, for any kind of decision making. And we know how filters work. All social media platforms in the world use invisible filters behind the scenes. We know that. We know what they decide what we're going to see and what we're not going to see. And we know the pros and the cons of that. Imagine now the same with products. That could change the way that people buy and make decisions completely. This will probably, in a first step, change the way that we search. And I know that ChatGPT is not a search engine, but a lot of people already use it to search for certain information or to narrow it down. Today, a lot of people are like, Google is good for search, but let's be honest, the first 50% of results that we get are manipulated through advertising, right? ChatGPT doesn't have that yet. Maybe that will change, hopefully not, because that ruins the neutrality of the whole platform. But you can imagine how certain companies will start to use this. I mean, if you look in your industry, the broad healthcare, broad food industry, you already see some first movers. Like Instacart, which is a platform where you can get your groceries online. You can choose the store where you want to get it, and then some people, they send people in to pick it up for you and deliver it at home. They're now completely reinventing their search. Because if you have a dinner party these days, it's difficult, because there's always someone who is vegan or someone is allergic to this. And I mean, if you invite 8 people, it almost feels like you have to make 8 different meals. So now with Instacart, you can say, all right, Instacart, I have this party. One person is vegan, one person is allergic to strawberries. I have 2 people who really enjoy this and that. What would you recommend? And you don't have to search through everything yourself. They basically let you know what would be the best option. You see how Amazon is building on that. I mean, today, if you search on Amazon, it's sometimes a disaster. You say, I need dog food, and then this is just me filming it. I typed in, I need dog food, then you get like 500 types of dog food. And you have to go through it. And some items have nothing to do with dog food. Imagine with AI, you say, all right, I have this golden retriever, she's a year old, she likes dry food, what would you recommend? Bam. This is a completely different way of decision-making, which helps us narrowing things down in a relatively objective way. And you see how people are already starting to use ChatGPT for that. It's a good experiment to try it out. I typed in, can you make me a 1-week meal? I want to eat healthy and a lot of omega-3 in that. And then you get suggestions. And I know the options that they give here are not exactly always linked to what you guys do, but I'm a consumer. I don't exactly know the differences and details between your industry, so I follow the platform. And it's some good advice that I get. I just get a menu, and if I say I want another one, it will keep giving me new menus. Now, if we look at this from a larger point of view, this is where we're moving into. Imagine you saying, all right, AI platform, I want Colgate toothpaste. Because you specifically say the brand Colgate, you will get your Colgate toothpaste. That's like the green circle that you see on this slide. You ask for a brand, it gives you a brand. Clear. More difficult is when you say, hey, I want to buy fish oil. I want to buy omega-3 products. Which of your brands will get through the filter? Which of your brands will be blocked by the filter? I have no idea. We don't know how that works. The only thing that we know is that one of the under-discussed consequences of the AI evolution is that branding will become more important than ever. Because if people just search or ask for a category, it's the filter who decides which of your brands will get through the filter, which of the brands will be blocked by the filter. The second someone specifically asks for your brand, then you're the green circle. So one of the under-discussed topics of AI is that you all probably should invest more in branding than today. That's one thing. Second thing is this. The model that I just showed, what you see here on the left-hand side of the slide, is basically where big companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon are working towards. They're going to create fantastic platforms, we're going to be using them, and a lot of the power, money will go to those companies. The same trick that they've done in the previous phase of the internet, which is fine, we won't be able to stop that, and it brings benefits as well. But the challenge for all of us in this room is to also go for the model on the right-hand side of the screen, where you try to create a strong direct relationship with your end user, because that brings that branding effect. So branding and customer experience for the end user will become more important in a world that is AI first. And that's what I think will happen in the second half of the curve, next to all the cool things, next to the productivity increase. But that's from a customer point of view, the changes that we may expect. Now, some people ask me, Stephen, that's all very nice, but will people trust the algorithms? Will people trust the algorithms? And there's a lot of research being done about that. I've read a lot of it. This is one of my favorite articles from HBR. And I just want to summarize it for you guys so that you don't need to do the reading yourself. Will people trust algorithms? The summary is yes. The moment they work for 95%, we trust them. Once it works, we trust it. Just look back. I don't know if you all also had a GPS system back in 2001. I had my first GPS system in 2001. It had like a 50% hit rate. Those were the days that I still printed out the route description and put it on the passenger seat of the car. Those days. I see a lot of young people looking very awkward in my direction, but that's how we did it in 2001. Now, that was also the days that when I was driving somewhere and the GPS system said it's straight ahead, but my wife said, no, I know this area. You need to take a right turn here. I took a right turn because the hit rate of the human was higher than the hit rate of the machine. Today, since 2018, we've been using Waze. And Waze has a 99.9% hit rate, which means that if we're driving somewhere and the machine says it's straight ahead, but my wife says, no, I know this place. You need to take a right turn. I go straight ahead. And I live with the consequences of that decision. But the hit rate of the human is still 85%. The machine is doing better. So the second that it works, we rely on it. No one prints out route descriptions anymore because you always get to the spot that you want to go. I mean, we're going to trust algorithms. The second that you step in a self-driving car, imagine that you ever step in a self-driving car. Maybe you already did so. But when you do, you trust your life to a machine. You put your life in the hands of a machine. So I do think that people, to buy some omega-3 products, that they will rely on an algorithm as well. That's how it goes. That's the consequence of this flip towards AI first. But the challenge is this. It's not just technology for the sake of technology. It's not technology for the sake of technology. It's about solving problems for customers. You have a lot of engineers that become so excited, they create a solution, and afterwards they go look for a problem. And then you get silly things. Then you get the most stupid things you can imagine. I recently got targeted with probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen on the internet. Apparently, I'm the target group of that. I'm just going to tell you up front, I did not buy it. It's for business travelers, so people who travel a lot. This is what I got proposed, huh? A remote AI-driven kissing device. So when I'm away, that I can still experience the kiss of my wife when I'm here in Athens. As I mentioned, I did not buy this. Huh? We have too many solutions that are looking for a problem. It's not about technology, it's about creating value for customers. And if you ask me, these are 3 benefits that we can create for our customers thanks to these new technologies. It's about proactivity. It's about solving problems before people know that there's a problem, being faster and real time. It's about hyper-personalization at scale. And it's about the highest level of convenience that we've ever seen. And these 3 will create a lot of value for customers. Successful AI tools and companies will focus on these customer benefits. If you think again about buying groceries, for instance, we're approaching a moment, I'm really looking forward to this, where you have algorithm-based buying. You know, a lot of our day-to-day purchases can be outsourced to an algorithm. People don't always like to hear that, but if I would come to your household, about 80% of the things that you buy and eat and consume every week are the same. Every week, 80%. And the second that there's a certain pattern in it, you can create an algorithm for it. And if you have an algorithm, you can automate it, right? And the routine buying, once that works, I mean, that saves us an hour a week at least. So we will probably start to use it. So one of the consequences that you could think about is that e-commerce will evolve to automated commerce, which has a fun side effect that the customer actually is no longer part in the customer journey. We're focusing a lot on optimizing customer journeys, which is great, but what do you do when the customer is no longer part of it? It's that kind of thinking that's going to be interesting to have some debate about in your organizations, understanding that this is the buying model that we're evolving towards. Maybe not today, but probably day after tomorrow. How can we create these benefits for the customers that we're working with? Now, if you want to think about customers day after tomorrow in this AI-first world, this is a great moment to think about it and to think about, okay, what are hypotheses for our organization for that day after tomorrow? And can we reverse engineer that? Can we work our way back and see what a first potential step could be to move forward? So what I've done is I tried to summarize this. And in my opinion, there are like 3 investment axes that you could work with to make your first steps in this world of AI. It's about data, it's about interfaces, and it's about increasing the productivity of teams. But let's start with the data part. This discussion has been held many, many times. We all know that data is super important for AI. When I talk with companies like Microsoft and I ask them, why isn't this going faster in the business world? They say the reason is that most corporations aren't ready with their data. The ones who are will see the benefits really, really fast. This is like the circle of life of artificial intelligence. You have a good product, you attract users, they generate data, that data helps you to improve services. And the faster this wheel spins in your organization, the faster you drive away from the competition. And of course, one of the areas where we're going to see a lot of change here is the broad world of healthcare. We are the last generation of people that have so limited information about our own bodies. Most of us still know more about our car than about our own bodies. This is changing. Just before the pandemic, I had the pleasure to visit iCarbonX, one of the hottest new startups in the healthcare space in China. I met the founder there, and he has this very clear vision. He says, look, between the age of, let's say, 20 and 50, you do a lot of bad things for your body. You eat the wrong things. You have a lot of stress with your work, then buying a house, your kids that are growing up. You don't sleep enough. You drink too much. I mean, we're doing a lot of bad things. Looking at the number of people that chose the wine god in this room, you can probably relate to that theory. But you don't feel anything about it. And you feel like Superwoman or Superman. You say, I can handle this, I'm strong. And then you're 65, you retire, you want to enjoy life, and then bam! Suddenly you pay the price. You get a steep decrease in life quality. What they want to do at iCarbonX is just keep that steady. And what they do is basically very advanced and simple at the same time. They try to get as much data from you as possible. So of course, they do blood sampling, they give you smart devices, but they also come to your house, and this may sound awkward, but for instance, one of the things they do is they install a smart toilet in your house. So every time you use the toilet, 5 minutes later, you get an email with the results. And then you can say, all right, I have to change this or that. Eventually, they want to gamify it. So if you're outside and it's a beautiful day and you have a beer, you take a picture, you upload it, then you say, all right, you never have one beer. Then you always say that you're gonna have one beer, and then you say, okay, another one. That's how it goes. And then you take a second picture, and then you get a message back from iCarbonX saying, you just lost 2 days of your life. And you're like, ooh, I have to order a salad now. So they want to gamify a little bit. I'm not sure if this would work everywhere, but the whole idea behind it is super interesting. It's the proactivity of healthcare, not waiting until someone gets sick, but preventing that someone gets sick. And I can get super excited about this. And iCarbonX seems very far away, maybe for some of you, but this is an app that one of my buddies just developed with ChatGPT technology that is freely available on the web. He took a picture of his salad, asked ChatGPT what is in it, and then he just gets everything back. I think it's that much weight, it's this kind of calories, this is the kind of proteins that you're gonna have thanks to this. He made this in 30 minutes. So you can imagine if an amateur does this in 30 minutes, what a research team of 100 people with millions of dollars on the account can do in this world. So this will change rapidly. Eventually, our house will become our predictor of our healthcare. It will know what we eat, how we sleep, how much we weigh, how much we work out. And that could be like a central data hub that gives you a health score. I can get excited about it. I can get scared by it as well. There's some downsides. Like in some US cities, you have now these, what they call smart vending machines. And then imagine in the morning, you're like hungry and you want to have a Snickers bar. You go to the machine and the machine says, nope. First your 10,000 steps and then you come back. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this, but it's about data. And if you think about it, AI can strengthen the relationship by learning more about us. Today, on this ladder of AI in relationships, we're like in between recommendations and predictions. The end goal is to understand the context of our customers, which is very difficult. We're far away from that, but that's where it's going to. Let me explain you what I mean with that. Like, take Spotify. We all know how Spotify works. If you listen to a certain type of music, they give you more of the same. So with me, it's always like happy dance music. So Spotify keeps sending me more and more happy dance music, which is fine most of the time. But even when someone passes away in my inner circle, that day, Spotify still thinks that it's the best day in the year to listen to happy dance music. If they would know how I feel, they could adapt that. That's understanding the context. You could say, how could Spotify know this? Think Apple, my watch, my voice, everything on my phone, the things I share, they know a lot. If they combine that, this could come closer. Can we understand the context of our user? Can we make a difference? Can we improve their life by understanding how they feel and how they work and act? That's one thing. Second thing is interfaces. We're seeing a lot of new user interfaces, and some will be world-changing, some will be life-critical. If you're getting a haircut and they don't give you like a little jacket like this, they do not respect your Instagram time. You need to move to a different barbershop. If you have a dog and a drone, this is something you could try. Just a small in-between tip. Never let the dog play, the child play with the dog and the drone at the same time, or you won't see the dog again. Huh? Just a small tip. Now, what is important is this. The first step is making sure your interfaces are working, are super convenient. That's why I would like to invite you to become friction hunters. Can all of you go home after this wonderful conference as friction hunters? And a friction hunter is someone with an eye for detail. Someone who understands where you waste the time of your customers, but lousy interfaces, making it too complex, wasting their time. A friction hunter understands that and knows with a small effort, we can make a difference. That's what friction hunters do. Let me show you my favorite friction hunting company in the world. It's Walmart, also the largest company in the world. They have a lot of people who buy groceries online, and then they go to the store to pick them up, but they don't want to wait for a human to give their groceries, right? So they install these huge pickup towers. So people come in, they order it online, they scan their phones, and then a few seconds later, they get their groceries. So basically, Walmart removed the friction of waiting in line here, which is good. But then they were thinking, okay, this is not going far enough, because people still need to park their car, they need to walk to the store, and they need to carry the groceries back. I mean, those are a lot of frictions. What if we change the parking lot into a drive-through? People go home after work, they pass by a Walmart, get on the parking lot, we put the groceries in the trunk, and 30 seconds later, bam, there they go. So they remove the friction of finding a parking spot, walking to the car, carrying everything back, which is great. But then some people tell me, yeah, but Stephen, you don't want to do a detour. Imagine you don't drive home passing by a Walmart. You don't want to do a detour. That's true. That's why they invented in-fridge delivery. And in-fridge delivery means that you order online, then they send someone to your house, they open the door with a digital lock, they film everything that they do inside of your home, and by the time that you get home, all the groceries are nicely and neatly put in the refrigerator, and the party can begin. So they removed all frictions from the process for the customer. But some people tell me, yeah, Stephen, I don't agree. For me, it would be a friction that another human comes to my house when I'm not around. Well, if you are not happy with a human, we can always send in a robot. So you feel for every friction that you can find a solution. By the way, I'm a huge fan of robots. These are my favorites from Boston Dynamics. They're like cool and creepy at the same time. I love watching videos of them. If one would walk in from the back now, I would leave you and go back to my safe harbor back there. But I'm just showing this in case you would like to use these robots in your warehouses. Just treat them with respect or feel the pain. Walmart is a good example of a friction hunting company. And you know what the cool thing is about friction hunting? It doesn't really matter what your role in an organization is. Everyone can be a friction hunter. You just need to have an eye for detail and know with a small and limited effort, you can improve the convenience levels for your customers. That is what friction hunters do. That's the first step. But then we can go next level with the interfaces. And my feeling in the world is that we're underestimating the evolution of interfaces now. I think we should TikTokize our interfaces. Just as for me to get a glimpse of your TikTok experience in the room. Who's an active TikTok user in this room? Can you show your hand, please? All right. I think we got 5 of them here. That's a good start. That's a good start. I can conclude, I think you will agree with me, that this is not the TikTok generation that we have here in this room. That's fine. That's fine. Maybe you guys are the Google generation. We think this is like the most innovative thing we've ever seen in our entire life. A list with links. You type in something, they give you 1 million links, and they say, go figure it out. And then we think, wow, Google is the most innovative company I've ever seen. Or you want to buy a house, you get an endless list with houses. You want to book a hotel at booking.com. You have this endless list of hotels, all with a score between 8.3 and 8.7. The pictures look exactly the same. How in heaven's name can we know what to go to? But we think, wow, booking.com, what an innovative company. And the worst of all, Netflix. I mean, we call Netflix an innovative company. When was the last time they changed this? Do you really feel it's personalized to what you like? I think we all get the same recommendations. Do you know that there's something out there that they call the Netflix syndrome? Maybe you're suffering from it. I sometimes suffer from it. It's that moment when you're like in the last episode of a show that you like, and you don't know what you're going to watch after that. The darkness that you have there. You're even postponing watching that last episode because after that, there's nothing left for me. That's the Netflix syndrome, that pain that you feel that. And do you know, on average, it takes like 40 minutes before someone finds a show that they really like? 40 minutes. Versus TikTok. Swipe, swipe, click, click, and in 10 minutes, that system knows you like no one else, and it works perfectly. It's a combination of fast, fun, and easy. What if you start to TikTokize your interfaces and make it more fast, fun, and easy for people? Because never underestimate the next generation. They will always go for the easiest approach you can possibly imagine. This is not the end of it. This is just a new step forward. But you could ask yourself, Stephen, why is this so important? Why is this so important? Explain us. Well, it has everything to do with the 3 scarce resources that every human has. You know what the scarcest resources are that we have as humans? Time is absolutely a number 1. Number 2 is attention is also one of them. Yeah, absolutely. Linked to time. Money Money, yeah, of course. We all want more money, no? And energy. How many people do you know that feel that they have enough time, enough money, and enough energy? Most of us would like to have more time, more money, more energy, right? If you agree with this hypothesis, then the next question is, how is your company doing here? Are you time savers or time takers? Are you energy givers or energy takers? Maybe Starbucks is successful because they try to give us energy. Maybe AliExpress and Temu are so popular now. Shein, because they're so cheap. Amazon Prime is super, super successful because they save you time, money, and energy. How are you guys doing on those three levels? You know, that's the reason why interfaces are so important, because if it's a little bit too complex, it takes more time and it takes more energy. People don't like that. So this is my hypothesis for the interface for the next 10 years. They will become more and more invisible. You don't have to push buttons, it just happens. More and more personalized, more and more proactive, and require less and less effort from the user. That's the second one. Interfaces, effortless interfaces. Last one is intelligence augmented, the topic that is discussed most broadly when it's about this whole new AI evolution. Can we increase the productivity of our teams thanks to artificial intelligence? And we will. If you look at the potential of Copilot from Microsoft, it's super, super impressive. If you look on how customer service teams are changing the way that they work, it's super, super impressive. So this is going to be the area where we're going to see rapid improvement. Like, take a company like Digital Genius. Just an example, there are many companies who do this. They combine human and AI customer service. So basically what they do is they come in, they look at your customer service data from the past, translate it into algebra. Then a question from a customer comes in. For instance, can you rebook my flight? You translate this question in algebra as well. And then the machine will dive into the data from the past to formulate an answer for this specific question that you receive in real time. That answer is shown to human customer service agents who can use the answer, can use parts of it, they can personalize it a bit, can add maybe some brand voice, and then they send it to their customers. This is KLM using it, Dutch airline. Because of this, KLM can answer questions more rapidly and more personalized than they ever could in the past. This is intelligence augmented. It's not that KLM has better people than Lufthansa, they just figured out how to use the right software, use the right AI to improve their productivity. This is going to be the #1 priority for companies around the world when they talk about AI. It's efficiency. But I think we can go beyond that. I think we can go beyond efficiency and also ask ourselves, how can we increase the power of our customers? I can vision a world where, you know, our apps on our homepage will all be replaced, not with apps where you push buttons, but with assistants, with partners. My own travel planner, my own medical advisor, my personal coach, my food advisor. I mean, I'm a user of Duolingo. Maybe some of you are using Duolingo as well. I'm trying to learn a little bit of Spanish, which is very hard for me, but I'm doing my best. And today, Duolingo is like predefined sentences that you translate, which is already cool. Now they're going to add ChatGPT to this, which will change the game throughout 2024, which means that you will no longer just learn standard sentences, but you will actually have a conversation with a waiter in a restaurant or with someone who works in a store so that it becomes more and more realistic, which is fantastic. This is what you need. I was in Spain last week, and I always could start with one sentence, and then they replied, and then I was stuck because it was not part of my sentences that I knew. With this system, you actually learn to have a conversation, AI-based, which means that you have a personal trainer that is available 24/7, every day of the year, and you pay $80 for that, which is about what you would get 2 hours for max if you go for a human trainer. Think beyond efficiency. We can do things now to increase our own performance like we've never done before. But the question that always pops up is, okay, what will this mean for the changing roles of humans in organizations? A lot of humans are getting worried. A lot of humans are getting depressed. They say, you know, in all aspects of my job, that machine will be better than I am. How will we be able to win from that machine? It never gets tired. It always wins. I don't think it will end like this for us. I had the pleasure to speak to the leadership team of UPS a few months ago, And we talked about their drivers. UPS has 300,000 drivers around the world. An amazing, impressive company. But then the discussion started, should we address them as drivers? Is driving their key capability? Is driving their biggest asset? Is driving bringing most of the value to the company? If you look around, you're starting to see videos like this, where they do random acts of kindness for people. Even when their competitor is stuck in the snow, they help out the competitor. So the question is driving the most important part? Should we treat them like drivers? Should we train them like drivers? Should we hire drivers? Or, in a world of automation, should we start to talk about ambassadors? Maybe we should treat them as ambassadors. Maybe we should hire ambassadors. Maybe we should train them as ambassadors. Because there are not that many companies out there that have 300,000 people that go from door to door every day. That's a major opportunity if we use that in the right way. So it's going to be interesting. What will be the skill set of humans in the future that will really make a difference, that will create value for organizations? I wrote a book in 2014 called When Digital Becomes Human. In chapter 6, I used this model. My prediction was in 2014 that these three assets, empathy, passion, creativity, would always prevail. And that would always be a human quality where we would win from the machine. Today, I'm in doubt. I'm in doubt. Like, take empathy. I don't know if you've seen this study where they asked 1,000 patients to talk with ChatGPT and talk with doctors to see the difference. Result was that 79% of the patients preferred the conversation with the machine because both the output quality and the empathy of the machine was higher. This has a lot to do with time pressure that doctors have, right? Many patients, not a lot of time per patient. The machine never gets tired of your questions. You can keep asking it questions. It's hard to win there. And it's not because we're human that we're good in being human. Those are two different things. So I'm in doubt for empathy. I'm also in doubt for creativity. A few months ago, I was in New York. I went to the Museum of Modern Art, and they had this exhibition there of AI art. And it was this super impressive piece of art. Basically, what they've done is they took all the pieces of art of the MoMA, fed it into an AI system, used it as data, and then they asked the machine, can you continuously create new art based on what we gave you? And it's super, super impressive. It's super, super cool. And then you can ask yourself, yeah, but are humans interested in AI art? I can tell you in the MoMA, the average time that someone spends with a painting is 17 seconds. Here, people were sitting there for 15 minutes or more. The two young men there on the right are my two sons. We could not move them. They were so focused on that piece of work. So people are interested in it. So I don't know. I mean, this is going to be difficult. And maybe we'll have to rethink. Maybe it's going to be about critical thinking, passion, something that we feel, ethical, the emotional intelligence. I'm not sure, but maybe we're going to move in this direction. And we'll have to be able to work together with these technologies. Like, you know, if you see this result, 79% of the patients prefer the machine over the doctor. Imagine that you're the CEO of a hospital and you see this. You have two options. You can say, all right, we're going to talk to the doctors. They need to show more empathy to patients. Or you can talk to doctors and say, why don't you figure out a way how to work together with the machine? Because the chance that you will increase the overall empathy of doctors is limited. So what works now is that doctors start to learn how they can recommend patients to use ChatGPT to help them with their questions. So it's becoming a partnership. And this is early day. It's the first half of the curve. The beginning of the second half of the curve. Imagine 5 years from now. Maybe we will have to redefine our skill sets. But one thing is certain. This whole move towards AI first is not just a digital evolution. It's a human evolution at the same time. They go hand in hand at the same pace. And the speed of change of AI is so high that it becomes scary for certain humans that they're afraid that they will not, maybe they're open to change, but that they won't be able to keep up with the speed of change, which will be something that we'll have to manage. It's part of this whole intelligence augmented idea. So 3 investment axes for you guys to get ready for the day after tomorrow. Leveraging data, effortless interfaces, intelligence augmented. But I want to end with something as a message that I think is crucial. I've been super excited about AI, and I love it. I like to work with it myself. But this is like the 4th big technological evolution that I've been studying. It started with internet and mobile, social, now AI. And every single time it increased the bar, it changed the way that we buy, that we It increased expectations, so companies had to level up. But every single time, the conclusion was that the technology is never, ever a shortcut to customer happiness. It evolves rapidly to a minimum need. If you don't do it, difficult. If you do it, it's just leveling up, but it's not a differentiator. And this has a lot to do with the pattern that we have as humans towards technology. Our perception of wow changes rapidly. Let's go back to Netflix. I have this ongoing discussion with my wife about this drawer in our living room. This is drawer number 1, this is drawer number 2. My wife is asking me to empty those because she's like, you never watch those DVDs anymore, and I would like to put other things in those drawers. We use Netflix now and Disney+. Until today, I have not followed up on that question yet. And that has a lot to do with this flagship piece of my collection. I'm sure the experts can already recognize it. This is the most influential show of my life, Beverly Hills 90210. I've never had a show I like more than that, so that's the reason I don't want to remove it yet. But she has a point, of course. We spend a lot more time on streaming services, but it's interesting to look at the changes that we have in perception. In the beginning, Netflix is wow, then people start to complain that it's becoming expensive, and then people are saying, I can't find anything to watch anymore. And this is a pattern, but it's irrational, because if you look to my 2 drawers, it contains 300 DVDs. Let's say that I paid on average 20 euros per DVD, so it's an investment of 6,000 euros. Netflix is 13 euros a month. So my DVD collection is worth 38 years of Netflix streaming. And we say Netflix is expensive. So you see how irrational we are towards technology. And this is a pattern that you see. It's coming back. In the beginning, we think it's wow, and then we're getting used to it. Smartphones, iPhones, nothing special, a new iPhone. Spotify, I mean, we've been using it for years now. It's there. Waze, we're starting to complain about Waze traffic jams because everyone is following the Waze route. I mean, we're complaining about it. The question is, what can you do to make sure that customers keep that wow level up high? And there's only one thing that stands out, is what I see, and that's exceptional customer experience. Who in this room had in the past 2 weeks a fantastic customer experience somewhere that was so good that you talked about it with friends and family? Oh, this is a depressing moment, huh? Thank you for saving the day here. We have one person in the room. Even though this is very awkward, because if you look at all of us, we had like thousands, maybe millions of interactions with brands in the past 2 weeks. There's only one person who can recall a moment that was really good. Doesn't mean all the others were bad, it just means they're most of the time average. And when something is average, you don't remember it. The moment that you get superb customer experience, it is so rare that it happens. It's seldom, and because of that, it is an ongoing wow factor. You never get tired of that, being helped in a fantastic way. But it's irrational. It's irrational because if you look at the brands that I showed, from Netflix to ChatGPT, they are outstanding. They always work. They deliver more what they promise. The price quality is insane if you see what you get for the little bit of money that you pay. But the fact that we use them every single day makes them normal, and we start to complain about it. Which means that, yes, as a conclusion, we have to invest in AI. Absolutely. We need to level up. We need to follow the trend. Otherwise, it will be difficult. But it will not be a shortcut to customer happiness. It's a tool. It's a system that will help you to keep up with everyone else. But if you want to differentiate yourself, it's about creating fantastic customer experience. So if you want to get ready for the day after tomorrow, my advice is don't focus on the technology. Focus on the customer. See how you can bring value there, faster and real time, more convenience, more personalized. Save them time, save them energy, give them energy. And if you can do that, then you create value for customers. And that's what is a way to customer happiness. And that's, for me, the key driver of success in the day after tomorrow. That, my dear friends, is what I had for you. We have some time for questions. If you like my work, feel free to check me out on social media. I'm on most of the channels. I didn't add TikTok here, as you can understand. But I'm on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me everywhere. Looking forward to your questions, and thank you very much for listening to my talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. That was amazing. I loved the videos, were just awesome. So we do have microphones in the audience. If anyone wants to raise your hand, we can take questions from the audience. I do have a couple already in the app, so I'll start with those.
Okay, cool.
So one question is, how do you see AI applied in B2B businesses that are up to 3 steps removed from the consumer and still having scarce data?
Yeah, well, scarce data is an important one. I think one thing that you will have to do is figure out a way how to get data from your customer interactions, because I think the fastest improvement that you can do is improve customer service. Questions that come in from customers, about maybe delays in delivery, proposals, all these kind of things. There's a lot that you can start to automate, make it faster, both for you and for your customer. So starting with collecting that data about your customer knowledge, about your customer interactions, setting that up is a very good first step. Because there's a lot of plug-and-play technology out there that once you have that the day after, you can do a lot of the things that I talked about for the next customer in line.
Takes you to the next step. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Another question. So in our industry, we have certain certifying bodies. Marine Stewardship Council is one that certifies different fisheries or segments of the supply chain. Okay. And the question is, do you see AI or blockchain being able to support ethical supply chains such as that?
Well, I'm glad that person is adding blockchain. It's a topic we didn't discuss today, but I think for the transparency throughout the supply chain, blockchain will probably be more important than AI, where you can prove objectively where you got the fish from, what the next steps were, where that fish went, so that you can, without any doubt, show the customer this is the whole supply chain before it ended in your hands. I think that will be an important application. I assumed that it would be here faster. We had the whole blockchain evolution, so for a lot of people, it's still very complex to work with that. So I think it still will take a while before we're there.
We had a speaker on blockchain at this event 4 years ago, I think, and the momentum just isn't there. It's not.
No,
yet.
There are a lot of hurdles that popped up. There are two different things, the crypto market and blockchain, but still the fact that the crypto market is suffering so much that it's like an ice time. Decrease the interest in blockchain for a lot of companies. Right. And it's very difficult to understand sometimes what it does. So before you invest in something as an organization, you always want to understand how it works. And it's very difficult to really get it. Agree. Yeah.
Questions from the audience?
This is the interactive moment.
Yes. Let me see if there's anything else in the app. Okay. Okay, so are you familiar with the concept of hedonistic habituation? To me, this is the main threat to your wow customer happiness concept.
Can you please repeat that, Ellen?
The concept of hedonistic habituation.
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, I don't know who asked the question if they want to comment further.
I was worried when I saw the look in your eyes when you had to read that question.
No, all right, well, we'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
What technology is the day after tomorrow for AI that delivers on the customer experience?
Yeah, well, I've been looking at CES, for instance. I don't know if you follow CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. I was there in 2020, and then it was all about Alexa enabled, Google Assistant enabled. Now it's all AI, and there's a bunch of really, apologize for the way that I will describe it, very stupid innovations that you often see where you think, no one will ever buy that. You see a lot of new ideas, really niche ideas that by itself will not be powerful. The value of those ideas that others will see it and maybe integrate it. I think that the next step will be that a lot of the big players in AI today, like Microsoft, like Google, Amazon, Samsung, that they will integrate a lot of those ideas on the platforms where we are every single day. I think that there are a lot of cool apps, but most of the time the awareness is very low of those cool apps. The second that Apple or Samsung integrates that in their phones, where you have everything just available because it's on your phone, then we'll have mainstream adoption. Like I was at a Samsung event 2 weeks ago where they introduced their new phone. One of the applications was super cool. If you call someone, imagine here you're preparing this trip to Greece, and you want to call someone and you hear that their English is not really so wonderful, you can say we're going to translate. So you speak in English, the person here in the hotel, for instance, they hear you speak in Greek. They answer in Greek and you hear it back in English in real time. And it's just part of the phone. You don't need to install something. And the second that all these devices that we use start to have all these applications and we just have to push one button, that's when we're going to see mass adoption of a lot of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Questions from the audience?
Oh, we have a question. That's really cool. The microphone is on
The microphone
its way to
is
you.
coming.
From your left-hand
All
side.
right.
Thank you. Wow. That was thank you so much for a really excellent talk in the area.
Thank you.
I have a scientific background and do a lot of work in personalized and precision nutrition.
Okay.
A lot of people that I talk to in the scientific community spend a lot of time talking about the limitations of AI, particularly as it relates to things like being able to translate food intake accurately. You know, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. It's outdated food data sets or supplement data sets may not have accurate information during storage, et cetera. But when you showed the example of the app that your friend made, and you talked a little bit about Instacart, my question really comes into how important is scientific accuracy versus consumer satisfaction? Because obviously there's a lot of things that kind of take off based off of them being able to engage individuals that may not be accurate. So I'm not saying that accuracy or factual information isn't important, but how do you see that at an interface with consumer adoption and customer satisfaction?
Yeah, thank you. That's an amazing question. A number of things. First of all, consumers aren't scientists. So typically a scientist goes for perfection, goes for 100% accuracy or close to that. A consumer doesn't think like that. A marketeer doesn't think like that. There's a difference there. So I think the challenge will be to balance that out. I think we will need a little bit of both worlds. If you wait until something is 100%, you're usually too slow to go to market. If it's at 30%, you're hurting, you're doing something really bad. So finding a balance there is going to be important. That's one thing. But maybe from a more macro level, your question is probably the challenge of the times that we're living in. Not just for the things that I've shown, but if you think about fake news, how difficult it is today to know as an individual, the things that I read, are they true or are they manipulated? It's very, very difficult. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, this is going to be the debate in this whole thing, or one of the debates, to figure out a way, how can we prove that something is accurate? How can we know if something is fake or false? And probably we're going to have government stepping in there, is my assumption. I think I'm not a fan of regulation, but I think in this field, I don't see another solution than regulation, where you maybe get a stamp of accuracy, maybe you have tools that you know if something is real or false. But without that, it's going to be the Wild West really, really soon. And I think you're absolutely right with your point. Customers won't know it, won't understand it, and you can drive them into a certain direction that you want, that would be really bad for them, and we need to avoid that. So yeah, I fully understand your point.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Other questions? Okay, well then join me again in thanking Stephen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay.